Reveal yourself, Dark One. It tears at my soul. The shadow rises.
Ifeoma, my love, look what I brought for you.
Oh, it's wonderful. You make me soppy.
Shadow entity, I summon you forth to make Makanan bring your eyes and reveal your truth to me.
They say, in the land of Umuokoro, there once lived a queen so beautiful, men forgot their names in her presence. But beauty can hide darkness, and desire can destroy a kingdom. Because this queen did not just rule men, she consumed their will. Morning light touched the mud walls of a quiet hut. Ifeoma sat outside grinding pepper, her laughter soft and warm. Her husband, Obinna, returned from hunting, holding a bushmeat. You see, your husband is still the strongest man in Umuokoro. Ifeoma smiled. Strength is not in your arms, Obinna. It is in your heart. They shared a quiet moment, pure, untouched love. Villagers passed by greeting them. Their home was known as one of peace. But then, two women nearby whispered, "Did you hear? The queen summoned again last night. Another man did not return." Ifeoma's smile faded slightly. Obinna noticed, "Do not let fear enter this house." But deep down, even he knew something was wrong in the land. Inside the grand palace, men stood in silence, half naked, eyes filled with shame. Queen Adama walked slowly among them, elegant, untouchable, dangerous. She stopped in front of one man, lifted his chin. "Why do you tremble?" The man stuttered, My wife, my queen." Her expression hardened. "Am I not your queen?" Silence. She turned to the guards. "Take him away." The man screamed as he was dragged out. The others looked down. No one spoke, because everyone knew where he was going. Night. The man was thrown into the evil forest of Agbala. The guards left immediately. Silence. Then, whispers. Trees creaked without wind. A shadow moved. The man ran, but something followed. A voice echoed. Another one who refused. His scream cut through the darkness, then stopped. Back in Umuokoro, women gathered in secret, crying, angry, broken. "She has taken my husband 3 times. Mine no longer looks at me. This is not a queen, this is a curse." Women listened quietly. One old woman whispered, "No one dares challenge her. She is protected by spirits." Ifeoma clenched her fist. "Then maybe someone should try." The women turned to her in shock. That night, Ifeoma and Obinna lay together, but sleep did not come. "If they call you, will you go?" she asked softly. Obinna was silent. Then, "A man who fears death cannot protect his home. And a man who obeys evil loses his soul," she replied. Their eyes met. A deep conflict, love versus survival. Suddenly, goom! The royal gong echoed through the night. Once, twice, 3 times. The sound every family feared. A voice followed. "By order of the queen, all married men shall present themselves." Panic spread instantly. Women cried. Children screamed. Doors shut. Lights went out. And footsteps approached. Heavy knocks hit Obinna's door. Bang, bang, bang. "Open in the name of the queen." Ifeoma held him tightly. "Do not go." Obinna's face hardened. Sweat rolled down his forehead. The knocking grew louder. "Open or we break it down." Silence. Then, Obinna stood up. But instead of walking to the door, he picked up his hunting spear. Ifeoma's eyes widened. "Obinna, what are you doing?" He looked at her. "Tonight, I choose who I am." The door burst open. The guards stormed in, torches blazing, weapons raised. Their leader stepped forward. "Obinna, you have been summoned." Silence filled the room. Then Obinna spoke, slow, firm, unshaking. "Tell your queen." He stepped forward. "I do not belong to her." The guards froze. Ifeoma gasped. Outside, thunder roared. The leader's face darkened. "Then you have chosen death." They lunged at him.
Wait, before we continue, quickly subscribe because the ending of this story will shock you.
The night did not sleep in Umuokoro. It watched, it listened, and it followed the man who dared to stand against a queen. Obinna's feet dragged across the red earth as the royal guards pulled him through the silent village. No one came out, no one spoke. Only the sound of chains and distant crying from women who already knew what awaited him. From behind a half-closed door, Ifeoma watched. Her hands trembled, but her eyes did not break. "This is not the end," she whispered to herself. Inside the palace, the air was heavy with power and fear. Torches flickered against tall walls carved with the history of kings who once ruled with honor before desire corrupted the throne. Obinna was thrown to the ground. Then came the sound that silenced everything. Footsteps, slow, royal, unavoidable. Queen Adama appeared. She did not rush, she did not shout. She looked at him the way a storm looks at a tree, deciding whether to bend it or break it. "So," she said softly, "you are the man who refused me." Obinna raised his head, even as blood touched his lips. "I refused what is wrong." A ripple of fear passed through the palace. No man had ever spoken to her like that. For a moment, something unfamiliar crossed the queen's face. Not anger, but curiosity. She moved closer, close enough to study his eyes. "Do you know how many men have stood where you stand?" she asked. "Yes, and none of them stood for long." Silence. Even the guards shifted uncomfortably. The queen suckled him slowly. "You speak boldly for a man already standing at the edge of death. Then I have nothing to fear." That answer did something dangerous. That night, instead of ordering his immediate death, the queen had him locked away. alone, untouched, unbroken, but not forgotten. In her private chamber, she stood before her mirror, but her reflection did not behave like a reflection. It watched her. Then it spoke. He is a problem. The queen's jaw tightened. He is a man. No, he is resistance. The room grew cold. Break him, or he will break you. Meanwhile, in the village, Ifeoma faced a different battle. Not with gods, not with spirits, but with people. Women gathered around her, not in sympathy, but in fear and bitterness. Your husband has doomed himself, and you with him. When they take him to the forest, don't expect tears from us. But Ifeoma stood still, unshaken. The story is not finished, she said quietly. That night, the queen summoned Obinna again. He was brought before her, weaker but not broken. She offered him palm wine. Drink, she said, and accept your place. Obinna looked at the cup, then at her, and in one sharp movement, he struck it from her hand. The cup shattered across the floor. The sound echoed like thunder. I will not drink shame. That was the moment everything changed. The queen's eyes darkened, not with simple anger, but with something deeper, something threatened. Take him, she said coldly, to the evil forest. As the guards dragged him away, she leaned back on her throne, her fingers trembling slightly. Then she whispered, so softly no one heard, if he survives, bring him back. Because for the first time in years, Queen Adama was afraid. And deep in the darkness beyond the village, the forest waited. Not hungry this time, but curious. As Obinna was thrown into its shadows, the wind shifted unnaturally, and something ancient whispered, this one is different. The forest did not welcome visitors. It swallowed them. Obinna landed hard against the cold earth, the sound of the guards' retreating footsteps fading quickly behind him. Within seconds, he was alone. Or so it seemed. The silence was unnatural. No insects, no birds, no wind. Just stillness. Then, a whisper. Soft, close. Another one. Obinna stood slowly, gripping a broken branch as a weapon. His eyes searched the darkness. Show yourself. Laughter answered him. Low, hollow, not human. From the shadows, figures began to appear. Men, but not whole men. Their bodies were thin, their eyes empty, their movements slow, like souls that had forgotten how to live. We refused too, one of them said. Now we belong here. Obinna stepped back. You are alive? No, another replied. We are what remains. They circled him, not attacking, just watching, studying, waiting. Then, suddenly, everything changed. The forest shifted, and a familiar voice called out, Obinna. He froze. It was Ifeoma. She stepped out of the darkness just as he remembered her. Beautiful, gentle, safe. Come back with me, she said softly. This is not your fight. He moved closer, slowly, his guard lowering. But then, he stopped. Something was wrong. His eyes, they were empty. Obinna's expression hardened. You are not my wife. The figure froze, then smiled. Too wide, too wrong. And in an instant, it shattered into smoke. The forest trembled. The spirits recoiled. He sees truth. He rejects illusion. He is not like the others. For the first time, they did not move closer. They moved back, far away from him. And Obinna stood alone again, but this time, not as prey. Meanwhile, far from the forest, Ifeoma walked barefoot across rough paths, her body tired, but her spirit unshaken. Because something inside her refused to accept that her husband's story would end in darkness. At the edge of the kingdom, where the air itself felt heavier, she reached a place few dared to go. The shrine of Neka, the priestess who saw what others could not. As Ifeoma stepped forward, a voice spoke before she could even open her mouth. "You have come for the man who refused the queen." Ifeoma fell to her knees. "Help me save him." The priestess was silent for a long moment. Then she said something that changed everything. "Your husband has done more than resist a queen." She paused. "He has weakened something far more dangerous." Back in the forest, the ground beneath Obinna began to glow faintly. The spirit whispered again, but now with fear. "The bond is breaking. The queen will come." And far away in the palace, Queen Adama suddenly screamed as a crack appeared across her mirror. "You seek to fight what your eyes cannot see," Nneka said slowly. "Then help me see it," Ifeoma replied. For a long moment, the priestess said nothing. Then she turned, not with her eyes, but with something deeper. "The queen you fear is not the true enemy." The words hung in the air like a curse. Ifeoma's heart tightened. Then what is? The shrine fire flickered violently, and Nneka spoke. Years ago, before she became queen, Adama was broken. The world seemed to shift, and as the priestess spoke, the past unfolded like a dark memory. Adama, young, beautiful, in love, a warrior promised her forever. But on the day she expected marriage, he chose another woman, in front of everyone. Her humiliation was complete. Her heart did not break, it hardened. That night she walked into the forbidden grove, where no one returned the same, and something found her. A voice without a body, a promise without mercy. "I will give you power. No man will ever reject you again." Ifeoma's breathing slowed. What did she give in return? Nneka's face darkened. Her soul and the will of men. The fire suddenly rose high, then dropped. "The queen does not desire men," the priestess continued. "She feeds something through them." Ifeoma felt fear crawl into her chest. "Then my husband is breaking the cycle," Nneka said, sharply. Silence. "Every man who submits strengthens the spirit, but a man who refuses," she paused, "weakens it." Ifeoma's eyes widened. "That is why he must not break." Suddenly, a violent wind slammed into the shrine. The fire went out instantly. Darkness swallowed everything. And then, a voice roared through the air. "You talk too much." The ground trembled. The spirit had heard. Nneka grabbed Ifeoma's wrist. "Go," she commanded. "If the spirit reaches him before you act, he will not remain himself." Ifeoma didn't hesitate. She ran. But as she disappeared into the night, the priestess whispered into the darkness, "The battle has already begun." And far away in the palace, Queen Adama collapsed to her knees, screaming. Pain. That was the first thing Queen Adama felt. Not physical, deeper, like something inside her was being torn apart. She staggered into her chamber, gripping the walls as if the earth itself had betrayed her. The mirror before her stood tall, unchanged,
yet wrong. She looked into it and froze. Her reflection was smiling, but she was not. "You are losing control," the reflection said. Adama stepped back. "No, I am the queen." The reflection tilted her head. "You are a vessel." The room grew colder. "That man, that Obinna, he resists you, and through him, I weaken." Adama's voice shook for the first time. "Then take another man." "It is not enough anymore," the reflection snapped. The mirror cracked slightly. "Bring him back, or we fall." Adama's pride warred with fear. For years, she had ruled without question. Men obeyed, women feared, the kingdom bent. But now, one man had changed everything. She slammed her hand against the mirror. "Then I will break him myself." At that same moment, in the forest, Obinna fell to his knees. The ground beneath him pulsed with energy. The spirits circled him again, but this time they did not mock him. They watched him closely. "Why do you fight?" one asked. He struggled to breathe. "Because I am still a man." "And what is a man?" another whispered. He looked up, through pain, through fear. "A man chooses even when it hurts." Silence. Then something shifted. The spirit stepped back. For the first time, they made space for him. Back in the palace, Adama stood tall again, but her eyes had changed. There was desperation now. Dangerous desperation. "Prepare the guards," she ordered. "We go to the forest." The mirror behind her cracked again, spreading like a wound.
The palace no longer felt like a place of power. It felt like a prison. Ifeoma moved quietly through its corridors, her body wrapped in servant's cloth, her face lowered. But her eyes saw everything. Men, dozens of them, alive but empty, sitting in corners, staring into nothing. Their bodies returned to their homes, but their spirits never did. Her heart broke with every step. "So this is what she has done to them," she whispered. She moved deeper, toward the queen's inner chamber, the place no servant dared enter. But Ifeoma was no longer afraid of rules, only of time. As she reached the door, she heard voices. One voice was the queen's. The other was not human. "You are failing me," the dark voice growled. "I said I would fix it," Adama snapped. "Bring me the resistant one, or I take everything from you." Ifeoma's breath caught. Everything the priestess said was true. Suddenly, the door creaked. Ifeoma froze. Silence. Then slowly, Queen Adama turned. Their eyes met. Time stopped. "You," the queen said quietly. The air shifted. Danger filled the room. "Who are you?" Ifeoma didn't answer. She ran. Guards shouted. Footsteps thundered behind her, but she did not stop, because now she knew the truth, and truth was more powerful than fear. Behind her, the queen's voice echoed, "Find her!" Ifeoma ran until her legs could barely carry her, but she did not collapse. She did not stop, because now, this was no longer about just her husband. This was about the entire kingdom. When she reached the elders' gathering place, she did not wait to be invited. She stepped into the center. "Your queen is possessed." The words hit like thunder. The elders froze. "Watch your tongue," one barked. But Ifeoma stood firm. She is feeding something that is destroying this land. Fear spread across their faces, because deep down, they already knew, but fear had kept them silent. "If this is true," the elders said slowly, "prove it before the next moon, or you will die for treason." Ifeoma nodded. No fear, only purpose. That night, The sky turned red, and in the forest, Obinna screamed as something ancient entered his mind. The entire kingdom gathered, men, women, children, all drawn by whispers of rebellion. Ifeoma stood alone at the center, facing the throne, facing the queen. "You stand on dangerous ground," Adama said calmly. "No," Ifeoma replied. "I stand on truth." The crowd murmured. The air grew heavy. "You are not a ruler," Ifeoma continued. "You are a vessel." For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the wind changed. Adama's body stiffened. Her shadow moved on its own. Gasps erupted. The shadow stretched, twisted, then slowly detached. Screams filled the air. The queen fell to her knees as the darkness rose behind her, towering, alive. "Fools!" it roared. "She belongs to me!" Panic spread across the crowd. People ran, cried, fell, and in the chaos, the truth could no longer be hidden. The spirit did not come in peace. It came in hunger. It swept through the crowd like a storm, sending people flying, draining strength from those too close. Ifeoma stood her ground, even as fear tried to break her. "Release her," she shouted. The spirit laughed. "Then take her place." Silence fell. Even the wind seemed to wait. And then Ifeoma stepped forward. "Take me." Gasps erupted. The queen looked up, weak, broken. "No," she whispered, but it was too late. The spirit moved closer, reaching, claiming, until a voice shattered the moment. "Stop!" All eyes turned. From the edge of the chaos, a man walked forward. Obinna, alive but changed. His body glowed faintly. His eyes carried something ancient. The forest had not destroyed him. It had chosen him. "You will not take her," he said. The spirit recoiled. For the first time, it felt fear. The battle that followed was not of flesh. It was of will, of truth, of everything that had been broken, fighting to be restored. The spirit roared, expanding into the sky, pulling darkness into itself. But Obinna stood firm, and Ifeoma stood beside him, not as victims, but as resistance. Together, they spoke the ancient words given by the priestess, words older than the kingdom itself. The air cracked, the ground shook, the spirit screamed, not in anger, but in defeat. Light broke through darkness, and then silence. The spirit shattered, gone. The queen collapsed, not powerful, not feared, just human. Tears filled her eyes. "I didn't want this," but the damage had been done. The elder stepped forward. "You will no longer rule." She was stripped of her crown, her power, her name, and sent away into the same wilderness she once used to destroy others. The forest released its prisoners. Men returned, families healed, and peace slowly returned. But not everything ends clean, because as the wind passed through the ruins of the old palace, a faint whisper remained. Power never dies.
Reveal yourself, Dark One. It tears at my soul. The shadow rises. Flee against